Boxing truth here. Keith Thurman is no threat to Manny Pacquiao, but there's been no mention of this bout. Keith Thurman called out Manny Pacquiao through social media, say he's willing to fill in that role as Pacquiao's next opponent. That is, the other Heyman guys don't want to dance. The other Heyman divas who price themselves out because they think they're superstars, or they know they'll get trashed by Manny Pacquiao. Thurman's willing to step up. However, I've seen a multitude of interviews with Bob Arum talking about Pacquiao's next fight, I see something in common with every interview I've seen with Bob Arum, and is the reporter, interviewer, or writer, whatever, is not asking this simple question: what about Keith Thurman next for Manny Pacquiao? There has been no mention of it by anybody in any interviews featuring Bob Arum. No one's mentioning Keith Thurman. Now, Thurman, he's not the biggest name. In fact, he's not. I would say Adrian Broner and Danny Garcia have a little more of a following than Keith Thurman does. But Thurman's a suitable opponent. He's a world champion right now. He's coming off a big win. Brings a style that will make it an interesting fight. A lot of people would think Thurman could beat Manny Pacquiao, even though has major flaws in his game right now and didn't really wow me in his last performance. Wasn't impressed. Didn't see an elite fighter even. Didn't see a guy that can beat the future of the welterweight division. But it's a fight I've been clamoring for. It's a fight I would like to see, but there's some issues involving a potential bout between Thurman and Pacquiao. Thurman has a mandatory obligation coming up. Well, he's been ordered to fight David Avanesyan for a long overdue mandatory. So the question is, will Heyman allow Thurman to give up his belt, vacate his title, to be a B-side to a Manny Pacquiao for a rival promoter on HBO, and possibly get trashed and lose a fight, and have one of his marquee guys lose to a rival promoter's fighter and Bob Arum? That is the question. Is Heyman going to allow Thurman to vacate his title to take a Manny Pacquiao fight, just to be a B-side opponent to a Pacquiao and possibly lose? That remains the question. And on the other side, for Top Rank side, they have to be thinking Thurman might be too dangerous. His power is overrated, but he's a good counterpuncher. Maybe he can catch Manny. I mean, we still have a couple of fights left with Pacquiao. There's still a Mayweather rematch being discussed. There's rumblings of May of 2017 as the working date. So maybe Thurman is a little too dangerous to take up a fight who could possibly ruin a potential Mayweather-Pacquiao rematch, and he could possibly ruin a major payday in order to get back the millions lost from the Bradley rubber match. So there's good questions on both sides. Is Thurman too much of a threat for Top Rank to take that fight when a Mayweather rematch is still out there for May of 2017? Is it worth it for Heyman to have one of his marquee fighters in Keith Thurman, one of the top guys in his stable, to vacate a belt to be a B-side to Pacquiao and possibly lose? But I don't see Keith Thurman as a major threat to Manny Pacquiao. He doesn't have a jab. He's not durable enough. He gets hit too much. He hasn't had a great performance in quite some time. He hasn't really even shown any serious, devastating punching power. The one-time power is overrated. I don't think Keith Thurman possesses the type of power Manny Pacquiao hasn't felt before. Just because Manny Pacquiao gets knocked out by some juiced up Marquez People think he's got a glass chin. No, it's not true. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been knocked out 3 times in his career, but two of the times were when he was very young in his career. I think he was a teenager at the time and was knocked out with body shots. So it's the best fight out there that can be made in the perfect world, but 2 entities had to be involved. Both guys that haven't been able to deliver a fight willingly unless it's not enforced, in Al Heyman and Bob Arum. Questions on both sides. Is Thurman too much of a risk? When there's a Mayweather fight out there, possibly for May of 2017, why not just take an easier fight against Jesse Vargas, an in-house fight? I'll get my Top Rank gets their percentage. They keep all the money. And it's pretty much a guaranteed win for many in order to get a big payday after that, possibly. And for Al Heyman, is it too risky to vacate a guy's title to possibly lose to a Manny Pacquiao and to be a B-side opponent on a network he doesn't really do any business with on HBO? But don't y'all want to see this fight? Let's roll the dice. Let's make this fight. In my opinion, I don't see Keith Thurman much of a threat to Manny Pacquiao. I think Manny Pacquiao wins the fight. He's a good counterpuncher. Maybe he could catch Manny. Maybe he can make something happen. But let's see this fight. Why is this fight not being mentioned? No reporter, writer is even asking about it. Thurman said he's down. He wants to fight. But is Heyman down? Is Bob Arum down for the fight? Is there a reason why none of these guys are mentioning Keith Thurman? But looks like it's going to be another in-house fight for Top Rank and Manny Pacquiao. Disappointing, but you can't really place all the blame on them. Those 2 Heyman bitches, Danny Garcia and Adrian Broner, turned down the fight. Career-high paydays with a pay-per-view upside as well. But it's just very disappointing that it's going to be it most likely will be another in-house fight for Manny. And probably the least desirable one is I don't see Crawford getting that assignment. I don't see him winning this fight this Saturday, but even if he wins this Saturday, I don't see him getting that assignment. Probably will be Manny Pacquiao, Jesse Vargas, and Keith Thurman. He may lose his big opportunity because of a mandatory obligation in a very unsatisfactory fight against a no-name opponent. Coming off beating a aging Shade Mosley. Just a weird situation involving Keith Thurman. Why can't he get this fight? Why is it not being offered him? He needs to go to Al, say what's up, demand this fight, at least get an explanation to why he's not being mentioned by Top Rank and Bob Arum. But doesn't seem like there's any chance for this fight to happen between Thurman and Pacquiao. And that's unfortunate. I think a lot of people will be interested in this fight. Would it do 1 million buys? Probably not, but there'll be a lot more interest for this fight than a Pacquiao-Jesse Vargas fight. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.